Our media availability on Nebraska Week is done, Brian. Obviously, a lot of excitement for this game. We had Coach Mack in the Tuesday press luncheon, even getting us media guys fired up. Just a lot of passion around these
Coach
facilities.
McCartney. You have to specify which.
You do, yeah. OG Coach Mack.
OG Coach Mack, yeah. And boy, I tell you, I don't know how you could listen to that guy talk and not get fired up. I mean, every time I've heard him over the years, like, I want to go out and play somebody right then, and there's no way I could physically go do that. But I want to play Nebraska after listening to him. I mean, just you can see why his teams were good. Now that they had great players, things like that. Right. But you can see how his personality got those teams fired up. As
the new Coach Mack mentioned, these Colorado players, Nebraska players, were in elementary school the last time these two programs faced off. But we've got Nebraska CU highlights across the facilities. How much do you think this is sunk in with these players?
Maybe a little bit, not nearly as much as it would be for the fans. And and Coach McIntyre mentioned this week. He goes, "Well, it's kind of the same for both sides," which I don't necessarily agree with that, because Nebraska's got a lot of kids that have grown up in Nebraska, and they probably grew up with this rivalry a little bit until they were in elementary school, so they know it a little bit better. But none of them have any concept of what it's like playing in it, things like that. And so I think that these players here at Colorado are probably getting some idea of what this rivalry is like. And obviously you got Chev and Hagen that are on the staff, but until you play in it, I think it's and who knows? I don't even know if playing in it is going to be like it was in the past. But I think it's just different.
Should be a great environment. Obviously, Scott Frost's first game at his alma mater. There's just going to be a lot of excitement in that building. We've heard from Colorado they expect basically the same offense and defense that they ran at UCF. I think that's a pretty safe bet, but it is a little bit more challenging to prepare with no game film, as we talked earlier in the week.
It is challenging. I think that it's a pretty fair assumption to say that they're going to run what they did at UCF, but you don't know their personnel and how they're going to tweak what they do to the personnel that they have, because you can't just go out and they couldn't bring their whole UCF team, or many of them. I think there's a couple that came, but there's always so much you can do just like UCF. There's not a Mackenzie Milton there, but how good is Adrian Martinez? We don't know, and the Buffs don't know because they haven't seen much of him. So I think that it really comes down to what Coach Mack said on Tuesday at the presser, that bottom line is if we're concentrating on ourselves and doing what we're supposed to do, we should be okay.
You can go on YouTube and watch clips of Adrian Martinez in Nebraska's spring game. Good instincts, athletic, can make some throws, but he's a true freshman, missed a lot of his senior year due to injury. This is a game where I think DJ Elliott, all eyes, at least for me, are on him, because we gave him a pass last year when this defense was struggling. But you got to get really creative and find a way to rattle this kid. He looked good in the spring game, but he was wearing a no-contact jersey.
Right, and this is where I give the defensive staff some credit for what we've seen so far. Week one is they've done a lot of changing on this defense to really kind of get better, put speed in different spots, and this is a game where that's going to help. I mean, CSU, that I think they were probably going to beat if they would have just lined up in their traditional 3-4 all week last week and probably won that one and not had all that speed. But this is where moves like Drew Lewis to the outside is going to help. You got more speed there. Signing Davion Taylor, you got more speed there. This is where guys like that are going to pay off, and it's up to DJ Elliott and those guys to be in position to stop Martinez and those backs.
And another guy that is pretty quick there, especially since he's slimmed down, Jacob Collier. He injured his shoulder against CSU. It sounds like all signs are pointing towards him playing in this game. Carson Wells made some plays. In addition to the guys you mentioned, it seems like those are some of the big key players to keep Martinez somewhat contained back in the pocket.
Yeah, no question. I think those guys on the outside, but I also think the defensive line that had a pretty good game last week is going to be huge. They got really good push against the Rams. I know the Nebraska line should be different, but it's important for those guys to get some push as well and move the O-line back and open things up for the outside, which is what happened last week. I don't know if it'll happen quite like that against Nebraska, but they've got to play well in the front seven.
So we think CU has a chance to be pretty good this year. I have no idea what Nebraska is going to be this year, and them having their first game canceled makes this really tough to predict, but let's do it anyways.
All right, so you're making me go first?
Go for it.
Okay. Well, all offseason I've said that I think this is a loss for Colorado, and I feel better about it after this last week than maybe I have all offseason, but I'm still going to lean towards the Cornhuskers in this one, and I apologize to Buff fans, but just being at home, I think that crowd is going to be really intense. They've been waiting a long time for this. I think that this is maybe where it hurts CU a little bit that they didn't play last week, is that there's going to be that pent-up energy in the crowd a little bit that maybe comes out this week. they've been waiting for this Scott Frost era. I think Nebraska's going to be better this year, and I'm going to go a close game, 31-30 for Nebraska.
31-30, okay. Like you, I had this penciled in, not in pen, as a loss going into basically this season. And even with CU showing so well against CSU, had Nebraska gone out there and beaten Akron pretty handily, I definitely would have stuck with that prediction. But now, again, I think first quarter jitters, even if people are excited, there's still some of that to work out for these guys. A true freshman quarterback in that setting, not getting those first game jitters out of the way. Yeah. I do like CU's chances a little bit more now after the fact that Nebraska didn't play a game. I'm going to say something similar, 31-28 Colorado wins this game. But, again, I think this is such a difficult game to predict.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm torn either way. You know, I'm just going to lean with what I've gone with all summer. But I'm pretty torn on this one, more so than I was all summer.
All right, we're both going to be out in Lincoln, so definitely check out our post-game content. Enjoy the game.